Your instructor is one of the finest pilots this program has ever produced. His exploits are legendary. What he has to teach you may very well mean the difference between life and death.
Your reputation precedes you.
I have to admit, I wasn't expecting an invitation back.
They're called orders, Maverick.
Aviators, this is your captain speaking. Today's exercise is dogfighting.
2 versus 1? He's gotta be kidding. What the hell?
+30 years of service. Combat medals, citations. Only man to shoot down 3 enemy planes in the last 40 years. Yet you can't get a promotion, you won't retire. Despite your best efforts, you refuse to die. You should be at least a 2-star admiral by now. Yet here you are. Captain. What is that?
It's one of life's mysteries, sir.
The end is inevitable, Maverick. Your kind is headed for extinction.
Maybe so, sir. But not today.
Viper 1 ready. Maverick to range control, stand by. Alright, 3, 2, 1.
After 34 years, Tom Cruise returns as Maverick. This is a competition film about family, friendship, and sacrifice. It's a love letter to aviation, We're going to show you what it's really like to be a Top Gun pilot.
You just can't create this kind of experience unless you shoot it live. In order for us to accomplish this, we have the greatest fighter pilots in the world working with us.
We're working with a brand new camera system that allows us to put 6 IMAX quality cameras inside the cockpit with the actors.
Verify cameras are on. Check cameras on. Ready to go.
It's amazing what we see in the cockpit and what an audience is going to experience.
Just a little higher. That's perfect. Great camera position.
Thanks to Tom, all the actors are becoming accustomed to the G-forces by all the training that they're doing.
It is aggressive. You can't act that. The distortion in the face. They're pulling 7.5 HEs. That's 1,600 pounds of force. I am so proud of them and what they've done. And it is heavy duty.
Alright. Oh, okay.
Putting us up in these jets, it's very serious. That's why everybody thought it would be impossible. And I think when Tom hears that something's impossible or it can't be done, that's when he gets to work.
It'll work out. That's what I'm talking about.
Flying one of these fighter jets is an absolute thrill ride. We want to make sure that the audience has the same experience.
3, 2, 1.
Aviation film like this has never been done, and chances are will never be done again.
Let's go somewhere I can't fly.
Hi, I'm Christine Mount.
Christine served in the United States Air Force for 20 years. She was the first woman to fly the F-35. Christine's now an F-35 flight instructor at Lockheed Martin.
Today, I'll be breaking down clips from movies and TV about fighter pilots. Flares behind enemy lines.
What is it? We're being painted.
We're being painted means that there is a SAM site on the ground that is seeing you on their radar. SAM is a surface-to-air missile.
Single missile tracking on it.
What they're depicting here is kind of a mix between a radar-guided missile and an infrared-guided missile.
We need a bigger heat decoy.
In the fighter community, we don't say heat decoys, we say flares.
Try to break the lock.
Infrared-guided missiles are typically short-range missiles, and they cannot fly out this long. The missile will typically burn in its booster phase, and once that booster phase is burnt out, then that's it. If you have a rapidly reacting target, that missile won't be able to continue to turn left, turn right, turn left, go up, go down. There's just no possible way that this missile could continue to fly the way that it does.
What is it?
Most aircraft have a master caution light, and that's just letting you know there's something wrong with your aircraft. I don't know of any aircraft that would give you a master caution light if you were being spiked by an enemy radar. So that doesn't make sense for this scene at all. This airplane climbs straight up, which is the opposite thing from what you want to do.
Oh, absolutely.
If you've got an infrared guided missile tracking on you, the number one thing you need to do is to maneuver your aircraft and put out flares. They hardly put out any flares at all.
Put out decoy flares. Copy.
Now, climbing up high is giving this infrared guided missile a nice blue uncluttered background for it to be able to track on you since it's a heat-seeking missile. What they should have done is stay down low and continue to fly within these canyons because they're hiding closer to the ground, so there's a lot of infrared clutter. So the missile never locks on them to begin with and is never launched.
Aren't you gonna miss all this excitement?
Outrunning an F-22, Iron Man.
Hit it. He just went supersonic.
Tony Stark in his Iron Man suit outruns these F-22s, initially at least, by his acceleration to supersonic. The F-22 is one of the fastest fighters that we have out there. Supersonic is just going faster than the speed of sound. Back in the day when we first broke the sound barrier, it was a bit of a violent event. Today, you'll end up going supersonic multiple times during your flight and not even notice it.
No way, that's a UAV.
What is it?
I can't see anything.
Whatever it was, it just bought the farm.
I think bogey has been handled, sir.
Typically, if you're engaging another aircraft, in order to say that it has been handled, you would want to verify that it has splashed, i.e. has exploded, and that it is no longer flying. They're talking about a superhero in a suit. I think all things are acceptable in this case.
Funny how that works, huh?
Disobeying orders, red tails.
Everybody form up. Going home.
Easy out. I see something. It's a train. 11 o'clock. It looks like they're moving livestock to me.
You're always going to wear your mask. Your mask is not only giving you oxygen to be able to breathe, but also your microphone is located in your mask. So if you have your mask drop and you're just talking, no one can hear you because there's too much ambient noise in the cockpit that no one can hear you over the radio. And it happens in almost every fighter pilot movie where they're dropping their mask to talk to each other to say something, but it's not realistic at all.
Let's go get it. Where's Lightning?
Where the hell are you, Lightning? Taking the train from the front like you should have done.
It's my decision, Lightning. Stay in formation.
In most cases, following your flight lead is the right answer because they are typically more experienced than you and better than you in the airplane.
Stay in front of it!
In this situation, the flight lead made a very poor tactical decision. His wingman decided not to follow his direction.
Easy, we gotta take your head off.
He ended up killing the train, so he's going to be praised, but likely he will be debriefed for not following instructions.
Just trying to keep you boys inspired.
Glare, Dunkirk.
I thought here we're setting ducks. Even field, they'll come out of the sun.
In our helmets, there's a visor that you put down in front of your eyes that's tinted, which will help combat glare.
I'm on the bomber.
Of course, that doesn't get rid of the glare that shines off of the canopy or different things in the cockpit. That makes it difficult to see. You guys know if it's bright out, you wear your sunglasses and you're able to see a little bit better.
Found it, 11 o'clock. Break.
They are trying to cross the channel looking for enemy fighters. If I was the enemy fighter, I would definitely be flying high and try to keep the sun behind me so that I prevent anybody from seeing me.
Yeah, he's down for the count.
You can also do this in the middle of a fight. You can pull up into the sun, which will hopefully cause a momentary blindness and give you advantage, albeit momentarily, because you can't stay in front of the sun forever. Plain Chicken, Pearl Harbor.
Okay, we're going left, right?
Right.
Right like we're going right or right like we're going left?
Well, now you got me all mixed up. I don't know. Make up your mind.
The biggest training rule that they're violating is the bubble, which is how close you're allowed to get to another airplane. In the Air Force, in training at least, the closest you can be to another airplane while fighting them is 1,000 feet. Once you're done with training, that will typically be shrunk down to 500 feet.
Those are some smooth aces.
You could definitely get kicked out for a stunt like this. Not only are they putting themselves in danger, but they're also risking a total loss of 2 very expensive P-40 aircraft. Stuff like this doesn't fly.
Those farm boys are grounded.
Pilot language, The Incredibles.
India Golf 909 transmitting in the blind guard, disengage.
There is a frequency called guard frequency that aircraft can use to transmit emergencies.
Transmitting in the blind guard.
Transmitting in the blind on guard was a very accurate statement for her to make.
India Golf 909.
So that is her call sign. In civil aviation, your call sign is your tail number. So November indicates that it's a civil aircraft. In the military, we typically fly around with call signs that are assigned to each squadron. So you would hear Kong, for example, Kong 1-1, and those are associated with military aircraft.
Mayday, mayday! India Golf 909 is buddy spiked! Abort, abort! There are children aboard!
When you say buddy spiked, you are getting radar warning indications from a friendly aircraft. You would say buddy spiked to let them know that they have locked you up for a couple reasons. The most common being, hey man, don't shoot me because I'm a good guy too. There's a few things with her airplane that makes it a bit unusual. She does have some sort of a radar warning receiver and or an IR warning receiver letting her know that somebody has shot at her. She's able to maneuver this airplane like no commercial jet that I've ever seen.
Disengage!
She does have afterburners on these engines, and it gives you quite a bit of extra thrust, which is not something you would see in a civilian jet. She's doing a fantastic job at being very descriptive with what she's doing with her aircraft and where she is. I gotta give her mad props for that.
Say no more.
Teamwork, Top Gun.
We got 1,000 knots closer, Mav. It's coming right at us.
Okay, buddy, what's on your mind?
I love the movie Top Gun. It came out, I think I was in 4th grade, 5th grade maybe. It inspired me to want to become a fighter pilot, albeit in the Air Force and not the Navy, but it is just a classic.
Airspeed 300, go get him, Mav.
I'm going for missile lock.
The term missile lock may be a bit of a misnomer in this case.
Great.
Typically, a fighter pilot will lock up an enemy aircraft with their radar. That aircraft would have a radar warning receiver that would let them know that they are being locked up. That's step one.
Come on, lock up, baby. Lock up, baby. Lock up. I got him locked. Bingo.
They already probably had a radar lock in real life, if this were real life.
Okay, buddy.
So not much would change. The Bandit aircraft would feel a little bit more threatened and hopefully leave, which he does bug out.
Your tail is clear, big one's bugged out.
We employ as 2 ships and 4 ships in order to provide mutual support, and the core element is a 2 ship. You provide mutual support to each other so that if you do intercept a bandit, that both of you are together controlling the bandit, checking your 6 for any other bandits, and ensuring you get the mission done. Very common.
Greetings.
No, that is not typical to roll inverted above an F5 and communicate via giving them the bird. But it does make for a funny story and a great movie poster.
Yes, ma'am.
Maneuvering, return to base. So typically we fly low levels around 500 feet and roughly about 500 knots. You can certainly fly lower than that, but if you're talking 500 knots at 200 feet, your margin for error is very, very small. In fact, your time to die is so low that any one little mistake and you're going to impact the ground. Time to die is a concept where if you are flying level flight at low altitude, your time to die is the time it takes for you to impact the ground. If you're in a slight descent and you're 50 feet off the ground going supersonic, your time to die is about a half a second. But to fly underneath the bridge, to try to gun somebody low altitude, to be going almost supersonic at 50 feet off the ground, that is very unrealistic. The part where they show a strike eagle getting gunned, I don't like that. I used to fly strike eagles, and so that made me a little sad. A turn radius of a fighter aircraft, we'll call it, is about a half a mile. They're low altitude, so their turn radius will be a little bit smaller because the air is thicker. However, these guys are turning around skyscrapers very tightly. In between other skyscrapers, which would to me indicate a turn radius of, I would call it 500 feet or less, which is not something that's accurate at all. So, kind of silly, but very exciting. Signals, Skyfighters. In this clip, 2 French Mirages are chasing a pilot who stole a Mirage. There are international signals that you can use when you're intercepting another aircraft. The intercepting fighters should pull up to the left wing of the intercepted fighter and rock their wings to let that intercepted fighter know that he is being intercepted. And then what you would do is fly slightly in front of and turn your nose across that aircraft to lead them to where you want them to go. Obviously, the Black Mirage in this case was non-cooperative. When the president travels, we are airborne in a combat air patrol looking for anybody who might be up to no good. So we train in how to intercept usually very slow-moving aircraft that don't know where they are.
Charcot 22 engagé par suspect armé. Demande autorisation, tir de semence.
Négatif. Maintenez suspect sous contrôle.
The control zone is an area behind your airplane. You can kind of think of it like a banner that you're towing behind you at all times. Closest to your airplane is defined as the reaction limit. So you don't want to be too close to a fighter that you cannot react in time to maintain the offensive or to avoid hitting that airplane. The 2 Mirages that intercept this other Mirage, that they have no idea what this person's intentions are. So I would not have flown as close as they were depicting there. Dogfight, Skycrawlers. You see this maneuver a lot. Hit the brakes, he'll fly right by. In flight school, we learned the term go up, blow up, because it's not that effective. So if you've got the airspeed to go vertical and you are a defensive fighter, then you certainly could. But when you do so, you are opening up your turn circle because God's G is pulling you down and you're going straight up. So you're very predictable and you open up your turn circle. So it's potentially a lot easier for the offender to just continue to pull a little bit harder and gun you in the process, and so you end up dying. So I would say it is not very common in real life. For an anime film, they accurately depicted the dynamic environment of fighting another airplane, but I don't necessarily think that the moves that they used were the most accurate. Coffin Corner, Green Lantern.
God damn.
再由热水缓缓冲煮，一杯又香又浓的健健咖啡才算完成。不过全台水情吃紧，中部地区率先实施限水令，没有水也让不少餐饮业者受到影响。但有知名连锁咖啡店就超前部署启动应变措施，而关键角色就是它。晶莹剔透的水是源自瑞芳麦饭石矿脉岩洞中所涌出的泉水，而知名连锁咖啡店大量采购就是瞄准采用麦饭石湖泉水来煮咖啡对于口感上的优势。
一杯黑咖啡有大约98%的组成是水，所以水是影响咖啡风味的重要因素之一。 国际精品咖啡协会对于咖啡用水有一套建议标准，麦饭冲原水在中可溶性不及物、硬度跟碱度上都符合协会建议的规范，所以是适合冲煮咖啡的水质，同时也是台湾的在地好水。
咖啡鉴定师就指出，每一杯现煮咖啡的品质与风味背后可是相当讲究，尤其水质更是影响咖啡口感是否甘甜顺口的重要要素。
我们内部有分析来自瑞芳的麦饭煮放原水，那发现除了符合 SCA 的要求之外，那口感也特别的甘甜顺口。不管是泡茶或者是冲煮咖啡都非常的适合。
除了更能萃取出咖啡风味，水质专家也点出，经过了专业评估与检测，麦饭石矿泉水因层层滤镜，在矿物含量和总硬度上都与国际精品咖啡协会 SCA 所选用的水质标准相当，更渴望成为最适合低滤咖啡的水质之一，同时也被选为这次限水之下的指定用水。而业者们持续加紧脚步，在备水大作战的同时，也坚持为消费者把关品质。记者蔡阳尤巧人台南采访报道。
The times that I have shot missiles in training, I shot them against drones. Given the nature of warfare and where we're headed, I think that it's pretty accurate that we'll be fighting against drones a whole lot more.
Let's go somewhere I can fly.
They are referencing what I imagine the ceiling of the aircraft, where the drones can no longer operate because of whatever limitation that they have. The cockpit, as they reference it in this movie, I have absolutely no idea. Do use the term aircraft ceiling. And the ceiling of an aircraft, which is also the maximum altitude that it can be flown at, could be driven by physiological restrictions, or it could be driven by engine restrictions.
I bought rules of engagement set ceiling at 50,000 feet.
ROE, or rules of engagement, are simply just the rules that you have to abide by as you're out there fighting. Now his engine, it said compressor stall, which, by the way, is not what the F-35 will tell you, but that's okay. So the engine said compressor stall, and yet it still continued to burn. It sort of looked like it coughed a little bit, but then as it went downhill, it clearly recovered itself. Fuel calculation, done perfect.
Jet fuel orders 1 and 2.
70 gallons. 68 gallons, fastest leader.
They are referencing gallons in this clip, which is how all of these fighters measured their fuel back in the day. Modern fighters today don't measure their fuel in gallons. They measure them in thousands of pounds. And you have to check your fuel regularly.
Fortescue, what's your fuel?
You want to make sure it's speeding accurately.
Did you turn back? No. I'm fairly confident it's just the case.
There's no trap gas, and make sure that you're checking it so that you don't overfly your bingo fuel. Bingo fuel means you have to stop what you're doing and hook now, or else you don't have enough gas to make it.
Understood.
Conclusion.
I enjoyed watching all of the clips. They were very entertaining and humorous in how inaccurate they are in a lot of ways. But as far as talking about fighter pilot stuff, I can do that all day long. If you're interested in becoming a fighter pilot, I would absolutely encourage you to do that. It is an outstanding career, very rewarding, very challenging, very fun.
I found out after they made Interstellar, some of the folks told me that when I was on the International Space Station and I did a cover of a David Bowie tune, and they were trying to decide how to light Matt McConaughey's face when he was looking through the windows of his spaceship. They actually looked at that clip of me to see how the actual light on the spaceship looked, and then they sort of mirrored that when they were lighting Matt's face. It made me laugh that art imitating life imitating art. My name is Chris Hadfield, colonel in the Air Force, astronaut, flew in space 3 times, commanded the International Space Station, did 2 different spacewalks, used to be a test pilot, engineer, downhill ski racer, occasional guitar player, and we're here today to look at some scenes from different space movies. This is Gravity, and this is the scene where the Space Shuttle Explorer is orbiting the Earth, and they're doing repairs on the Hubble telescope, and they go through some sort of asteroid debris field. Okay, well that's a nice concept, and the visuals are great, but what happens is so far from reality that I want to turn my head. First off, the satellite goes whizzing by at about, I don't know, maybe 120 miles an hour. Satellites are going 5 miles a second, 17,500 miles an hour. How that thing, you can identify the satellite going by. And then it's like some big dump truck just suddenly put this big pile of rubble just upwind of the space shuttle. And suddenly it looks like an avalanche in space is poured in front of the shuttle. And they violate the laws of physics. When Sandra Bullock, she's on the end of the big Canadarm, the big robot arm, and it's tumbling, and she releases her little straps, and suddenly, whoo, she flies away in a whole new direction, like there was some force on Sandra that wasn't on the arm. Like, how come she has a different gravity than the arm does? And then everybody on the crew, I mean, dialogue, they're all yelling back to Houston as if somehow Houston's going to help them right here. And George Clooney is referring to this other astronaut as Dr. Stone, like they haven't really met each other yet. And he's asking permission from somebody, I don't know, to go and help her out of the, I mean, it's not astronaut behavior, it's not logical behavior, it's so execrable from actual practical demonstration of what the reality of spaceflight is like. The most experienced astronaut in American history is a woman. It's Peggy Whitson. She's been in space longer than any other American. She commanded the International Space Station twice. She's done 10 spacewalks. She was NASA's chief astronaut. In this movie, Sandra Bullock has only been an astronaut for like less than a year. And when she's faced with a problem, she's panicking and has no idea what to do. And George Clooney is driving around like some sort of space cowboy as the only person who really knows what's going on. And it's like they met when they were out on a spacewalk. And then it's like he's trying to pick her up during a spacewalk. And what is he even doing out there, driving around in his jetpack? I mean, we don't go outside recreationally. It's so different than the actual people that are exploring space, that devote their lives to being astronauts, that are actually on the space station right now. The wonderful human role model examples we have of people who are doing these things. I think it sets back a little girl's vision of what a woman astronaut could be, an entire generation. Sandra Bullock did a great job of portraying this character in the movie. But I just think the character that they wrote for her was really disappointing. That's what I would have changed. Get the characters right. Get it to represent what astronauts are actually like. And then build the story around that. Don't just make it the perils of Pauline, where she's strapped to the train tracks and she needs George Clooney to magically appear next to her to tell her which book to open to be able to do the right thing. Real astronauts recognize the seriousness of their job. The fact that it's always life or death. And that we're there as the representatives of 7.5 billion people. Everybody's trusted us to be good at this, to have spent decades getting good at this. If you want to know what a spacewalk looks like, there's never been a better movie, though, than Gravity. That opening scene is magnificent for the visual impact and the beauty of the silent turning world and the resolution of each of the fine things and the lighting. It's wonderfully good. So it gives you the raw emotional sense of the spacewalk. Just don't pay attention to what the astronauts actually do. This movie is passengers. So if you're going to get on a ship and you're going to be on it, between stars, going to settle some planet in another solar system, you can't be floating weightless the whole time. Who knows what your babies would be like if they were conceived and developed and tried to grow without gravity? Their bodies wouldn't grow right. So how do you make gravity if there's no planet nearby? One way, of course, is just like we do in a little experiment where we spin it in a centrifuge, you can spin the whole ship, and then everybody is sort of pinned against the outside of the ship just by the centrifugal force, and that feels sort of like gravity. If you shut off the spinner, then it would continue to spin for quite a while. There's really nothing to slow the spin down, and that's one of the big scenes in Passengers. The ship has a problem, it stops spinning, and therefore everything becomes like on the International Space Station and starts floating. So I'm not sure why, when it starts losing power, the ship suddenly starts slowing down. You'd actually have to put big brakes onto it to stop all of that metal from spinning. I'm not sure why the ship didn't just sort of blithely keep on spinning as it drove into the asteroids. But it would have been a worse story if that had happened. So let's say, all right, the ship stops spinning, now everybody's got no gravity, and one of the characters is in a swimming pool. So what happens to water without gravity? On board the International Space Station, we played with water all the time. You could squirt it and it would just float there in front of you. It naturally, with the surface tension, goes to a perfect ball. That's the easiest shape for it to go to. So if you had a swimming pool held in place by gravity, and then the gravity went away, the water would have some inertia as the ship slowed down, and it would slosh. But then the water would almost look like a big blob slowly forming itself into a ball. And I think that's quite well shown. And the weirdest thing is, if you were in the water at the time, how would you even know which direction to swim? Which way is the surface if there's no up or down? Even if you started swimming one direction, the blob is flexing, and the way you're swimming might be getting further away from you. So that was a very compellingly accurate scene, assuming there's a swimming pool on board a spaceship. The way it resolves, though, it kind of bends the edge of probability, because if you spin the ship back up again, then you generate this centrifugal force, and the water would get squished back down.
Let's go somewhere I can.
Your instructor is one of the finest pilots this program has ever produced. His exploits are legendary. What he has to teach you may very well mean the difference between life and death.
Reputation precedes you.
I have to admit, I wasn't expecting an invitation back.
They're called orders.
This is a competition film about family, friendship, and sacrifice. It's a love letter to aviation. We're going to show you what it's really like to be a Top Gun pilot.
You just can't create this kind of experience unless you shoot it live. In order for us to accomplish this, we have the greatest... fighter pilots in the world working with it.
After that, I wasn't expecting an invitation back.
They're called orders. Friendship and sacrifice. It's a love letter to aviation. We're going to show you what it's really like to be a Top Gun pilot.
You just can't create this kind of experience unless you shoot it live. In order for us to accomplish this, we have the greatest fighter pilots in the world working with us.
We're working with a brand new camera system that allows us to put 6 IMAX quality cameras inside the cockpit with the actors.
Verify cameras are on. Check cameras on. There you go.
It's amazing what we see in the cockpit when an audience is going to experience it.